I saw a show on TV a while ago about people on a pilgrimage. Thousands and thousands of people, all on a pilgrimage. They were wearing the same kind of clothing, and they were walking toward a place that was sacred to them, according to their religion. A huge stone or some object marking a place where their God had been seen, or where a prophet had been preaching. Chaucer wrote about this so many hundreds of years ago, in an English language very different from our own. In the Canterbury Tales, stories about people on a pilgrimage. One April with his showers suit, the droch of March hath pierced to the root, and so on. Then longen folk to go on pilgrimages. He wrote about those people quite brilliantly, creating a slice of his life and the times. And then too, many years later, this country, in part, was founded by people calling themselves pilgrims. While I do understand the idea of wanting to get right with your God, which is the essence of a pilgrimage, I also think it's mostly mumbo-jumbo and nonsense. God is not appeased by sore feet and supplication. And yet I certainly believe that we are all pilgrims, and our walk of faith begins the moment we are born. Our life, our pilgrimage, every step we take, determines our allegiance to some higher power. If we drift off course, or take a wrong step in a foolish direction, that is part of our journey as well. Our path is not marked. We discover it as we go. John Bunyan wrote about this many years ago, but long after Geoffrey Chaucer, in an English more like our own, in a book called Pilgrim's Progress. It presents life in an allegorical fashion and features a protagonist I believe is named Christian, who makes his way through a number of hazards and traps, always seeking the promised land, redemption. Pinocchio recounts the same story in a different way. More recently, Kurt Vonnegut wrote a book in modern English, or a variant we call American, about someone named Billy Pilgrim. I believe John Bunyan wrote his book while he was in prison, and there is a long and distinguished history of people putting pen to paper while in prison. There is something about incarceration which refines the mind, focuses on a matter of great importance to the incipient author who wants to spread his message to the world. Dr. King, of course, wrote from his jail cell, as did Adolf Hitler. New Age movements come and go, people rediscovering the spiritual wheel, and they're all about ways to be a good pilgrim, getting on the right path. Self-awareness is often emphasized, knowing who the hell you are and what you're supposed to be doing. The latest I have heard about was called mindfulness, being conscious of what is at the core of your existence. Centuries ago there was the Tao, the way of life, the way of being centered, living in the moment, we say today. Where else are you going to live, I'd ask. But it's easy to get lost when your pilgrimage consists mainly of what we call the rat race. There's nothing very sacred sounding about that. There are all kinds of priests and swamis and gurus and imams, the so-called holy men who can advise you on what to do, how to live, and each might advocate that you take time out to make a pilgrimage, return to the true text of your life, forego all the distractions of this crazy, mazy, carnival-style world. And that might be effective, restorative. Being sent to prison really jolts a certain kind of person into their true life. Being told you have 4th stage pancreatic cancer would also do it, or learning that someone you dearly love has died. It takes a shock to bring you squarely to your moment, to your senses, and that's why people go on pilgrimages, so that they can see the world from a different perspective. The truth is, they're born walking the walk all their lives, but because it feels so ordinary, so quotidian, so routine, they don't realize it. They need to set out on another route, one that's been approved by the sages. Pilgrim, take up your burden. See all the others on their march. Listen and see if you can hear the word of your God.